So as some of you may know, I booked myself a writing trip to Venice, Italy a couple months ago, and this is the first day of that writing trip, and I wanted to record my time here, share a little bit of it with you, and also just capture some of what I'm getting up to on camera, just so I also have that memory for myself. But I've made it to Venice yesterday after a very long flight itinerary, and kind of crashed and only got to see a little bit of the neighborhood that I'm staying in. I'm staying in the most incredible Airbnb. I will be sure to insert some shots here of the space that I'm staying in, and it's wonderful. It's even better than the pictures that I saw online. So I'm very grateful to get to be in this space. It feels very homey, very artsy. There's a wonderful jazz music collection that I've been putting on in the background yesterday and this morning, and it's just made the space feel very warm and homey. But it's almost 11 o'clock here, so I definitely need to get my butt out the door and start exploring, so I will take you along with me for that. I think we're recording. Wanted to do, I guess, a little check-in. Kind of settled in here for the night. We had some thunderstorms roll in here during the evening. I had just gotten back from picking a few things up from the grocery store for dinner, and I was doing some writing on the couch here, and I just heard thunder and this downpour of rain in the background, and it was just this wonderful moment of yes, this is perfect. So I guess I wanted to do a little update on what I got into today and my thoughts on the trip so far. Today I had a few places in mind that I wanted to go to and visit, and I hit a few of them, but for the most part I just wandered and got pretty lost a few times. I feel like if you come to Venice, you are going to get lost at least once. Google Maps is usually not much help in the very tight, narrow back alleyways. And there are passageways that look like they lead to nowhere, but suddenly there's a sharp turn at the end and oh, that's the road you were looking for. Or you'll turn down an alleyway that you're sure is where you're supposed to be going, but ends up being a dead end. Nonetheless, Venice is magic. I am far from the first person to say that, but it's magic. I've really enjoyed exploring a lot of the back streets and alleyways today. I did hit a few of the more touristy areas sort of incidentally. Actually, as I was trying to make my way back towards my Airbnb in the supermarket I was going to grab dinner from, and the rain had started to come down and people were pulling out their umbrellas, and I realized that I was making my way over the Rialto Bridge during the middle of a rainstorm, and I hadn't even planned on visiting the bridge, at least today. And it was just one of those moments of like, huh, so this is happening. So I booked this trip as a quote-unquote writing trip, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. I guess my reasoning behind it. I made a promise to myself earlier this year that I would start taking myself more seriously as a writer and calling myself a writer. And booking this trip was very much an affirmation to myself that this is something that I can't help but do. This is something that I can't help but love, and it's something that's valid. I haven't really in the past let myself feel that way, and I think it wasn't just this trip. There were a number of things sort of leading up to it where I started to take myself more seriously, but this trip feels like a huge, I guess, yeah, affirmation of this part of me I have been scared to show, I guess. I have been scared to share, even with myself. And so in doing this, in booking this writing trip, where my mindset is my quote-unquote job while I'm here is to write and to be inspired creatively. And Venice is definitely a place that does that for me. Validating the writer part of myself and finally allowing myself to step into that role and just be, not placing a huge amount of pressure on myself to create a certain type of thing or create a large amount of something, but rather just to be, to revel in the joy in creating and letting myself create without judgment or shame from myself. And I think that's something that a lot of creative people struggle with. So I'll throw it out there that the process is more often more important than the end result ends up being. I think especially for writing, being able to write without the fear of, someone looking over your shoulder and reading and critiquing your work, of writing and playing with words and ideas because it brings you joy and it doesn't have to fulfill anyone else. I think I wrote 10 or so pages today of just thoughts and observations that I was having on this trip, and whether or not any of that sees the light of day is kind of irrelevant. It has, number one, brought me joy. Number two, helped me to practice my craft, helped me to work, I guess, the creative muscle, which, in turn will eventually help me create something that I then want to share with the world. But for now, it's okay that I'm just creating for myself and focusing on the craft and the joy of making something. So I guess circling back to the point that I started with, I think I've been rambling for a little bit here, but I booked this trip as a way to affirm part of myself that hasn't yet been affirmed, that is a part of myself that is integral to my core. And that has been just a huge gift to myself as a person, but also as a creative. That being said, if you are a fellow writer, creative of any type, by no means am I encouraging you to book an international writing trip in order to be able to affirm, yourself as a creative. I hope that's not what you take from this little chat. I would definitely encourage you, if you haven't already, find something, either an experience or just something that helps affirm yourself as a creative in a way that you haven't felt like you have been able to do yet. Give yourself permission to, one, call yourself a creative or a writer, and two, find a way to make that feeling more legitimate for you. Whether that is just starting to call yourself that, or if it's, getting up the courage to publish a piece of work for the first time or submit somewhere for the first time. Something that, again, affirms that part of you to yourself, I think is something invaluable. I think that's what I hope you take from this video, this little part of the video that you're watching, is don't press pause on experiencing the joy of creating in a way that fulfills you. Don't keep pressing pause on it. Don't hide that part of yourself because you think, oh, that's not going to make me money, or that's not going to make me legitimate in the eyes of others as a successful person. Whatever it is, don't postpone your joy. But with that, I think I'm going to finish this glass of wine do maybe a little bit more writing before I go to bed, but call it an early night here so I can get up nice and early for some more adventures tomorrow. I will see you then. Hello again. It is the next day. Please excuse the whatever my hair is doing at the moment. Even after washing it, bedhead seems to be winning today. Did not sleep well last night, unfortunately. It's a 6-hour time difference for me here, and I think my body has not fully adjusted yet, and could not fall asleep for many hours last night. So probably got 3 or so hours of sleep when my alarm went off, but I think I ended up hitting the snooze button and I slept in until, I'm trying to remember, I think it was about 1 p.m. here. Got up and was slowly getting myself ready as best I could because I had plans for what I wanted to do and what I wanted to see today. And I got to the point where I was gonna go put makeup on and head out the door, and I laid down on the couch and promptly fell asleep. So I woke up and it is now 4 p.m. and I have recognized that I think I need to reevaluate what my plans are for today. I had planned on going to a couple of the galleries today that I'd wanted to go to, but they are far from where I'm staying at the moment. I have sort of preferred to walk to wherever I needed to go while I'm here, and the distance is, I think, a bit over a mile, but also in Venice I'm very likely to get lost, so it'll probably take me a while to get to where I'm going, and the galleries do close at some point, so I think I'm going to reevaluate some things that I'm going to see today. I'm also making myself some lunch at the moment, a very late lunch, and just trying to be kind to myself. I also sprained my ankle pretty badly right before this trip and have been trying to be attentive to that as well, and it's been doing pretty well, but after yesterday I ended up walking pretty far and it's a bit more stiff and swollen than it has been today. So another reason that I'm going to reevaluate my priorities for this afternoon, for this evening. Good morning. It's the next day here, and give you a little update on what happened yesterday or last night. I ended up listening to my body and giving myself a bit more rest that I really needed, and I went out sort of in the twilight in the evening and walked a little bit around the neighborhood, sat under some lampposts and did some writing there, and grabbed myself a little gelato on the way home. So that's how yesterday ended up turning out, and I'm okay with it. I have plans for going out and adventuring today, so I thought I would obviously take you along with me, but talk to you a little bit as I get ready here. I've been thinking a lot about my great-grandmother on this trip. She was the daughter of Swedish immigrants to the United States and settled in Nebraska. She was born in, and for the first 13 or so years of her life, she lived in a sod house on a farm in Nebraska. And in 1927, she went on a tour of Europe with a number of girls, I guess, in her area. They had adult supervision. There was like an elder matron that went with them to sort of supervise things. But that was in 1927, and I'm thinking a lot about her and sort of the decision that she made to take that trip and how it kind of parallels in some ways with mine. I don't think she took it as like a writing trip. The guts that that would have taken. And for part of that trip, I know that she did visit Venice. So close to 100 years ago, my great-grandmother would have been walking in the square of San Marco, you know, probably saw the Doge's Palace, the basilica there, which is actually the activity that I'm going to be doing today, at least one of them. So I've been thinking about her quite a lot while I've been on this trip. And one of the things that I ended up bringing with me is a pair of her earrings that I actually have a photograph of her wearing, as well as a necklace. I brought the necklace as well. I don't know if I'm going to wear the necklace today. I'll show you one of the earrings as it's easier to hold up, but it's this guy right here, and I think it'll go really well with my outfit today. The more that I learn about her life, the more fascinated I am. She led a really interesting life. It had a lot of ups and downs, it had a lot of tragedy, but there are certain points, like her European tour that she did when she was in her early 30s, that I get a little glimpse at who or what kind of person she might have been prior to her taking this European tour. Her father had passed away, as well as her older sister, very suddenly from a heart attack, sort of back to back. I have to wonder if the events leading up to this trip, her realizing that life is too short, the thought of her sort of in the immediate aftermath of this huge series of life events that happened to her, of grief and wanting to do something for herself, but also tap into part of herself that was sort of the artistic, creative dreamer part of her that I've sort of come across in other areas of her life, looking through some of her things. So wearing these earrings today feels really special, and sort of a nod to her and to the life that she pursued for herself. I wanted to share that with you, sort of mention her and talk about these earrings and why I'm wearing them. For now, I'm going to finish up doing my makeup, and I need to get out the door because it's about 9 a.m. here. Hello, I have made it back to the Airbnb. It is kind of late, sort of. It's about 10 o'clock now. I did a lot of walking today, got to see a lot of really cool things, but I think I walked something like 19,000 plus steps today. And I can feel it. So I'm gonna call it a somewhat early night here. I'm gonna run myself a nice hot bath and soak in that for a while because I think I might have overdid it a little bit on my ankle, which is still healing. But I ended up having a lovely dinner at a restaurant that I stopped in when I got a little bit lost, as one does in Venice. Making my way home from Piazza San Marco, and it was lovely. The staff were amazing. I will put the name of the place that I stopped up on the screen. So if you are in Venice and you want to check it out. The wine was excellent, and it was a mussel pasta that was very, very tasty. Yeah, I'm gonna go run myself that nice hot bath, and then I think, yeah, I will check in with you before I go to bed. Here. All right, bath is taken, and I feel like much more of a human now. I think I'm actually going to split this vlog into 2 parts because I can already tell that it's going to be pretty long. So I feel like this is a good sort of stopping point for the first part of this vlog. I still have a few days here in Venice with some other activities planned, and I think those will serve for another video. So for now, I'm going to sign off from this vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you'd like. Have you been to Venice before? Would you come to Venice? But I hope you all are doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.